I thought I was done with my Betaflight 4.3 complete walkthrough. Every single tab in Betaflight configurator, every single setting. I showed it to you, or so I thought. But some of you guys in the comments pointed out that I missed a couple tabs, and so we're back. I won't let this mission go uncompleted. Today, we're looking at the LEDSTRIP tab, which apparently I didn't do. I'm Joshua Bardwell. You're going to learn something today. In case it's been so long that you've forgotten about this series, this is part of a series where I go through every single tab in Betaflight Configurator, every single option, and tell you what it does. It's more of a kind of encyclopedia walkthrough than a how-to, and like if you sat down to read the whole encyclopedia, it's probably more information than you want all at once, but if you are the kind of person who wants to sit down and read the encyclopedia, there's a link to this playlist in the video description, and you can work your way through. And today we're going to be looking at the LEDSTRIP tab, and the reason that I missed it when I did my first walkthrough is if you disable the LEDSTRIP function, the LEDSTRIP tab goes away. And that's also true for a couple other tabs like the GPS tab, but I remember to get that one, but I didn't remember LEDSTRIP. And so we have got a quadcopter here with some LEDs on it, and we're going to go through the LEDSTRIP tab. So I'm going to start by clicking wire ordering mode, and wire ordering mode turns this whole grid green. And then by clicking on the grid, I can lay out LEDs, and the LEDs each have a number. If I keep clicking, the numbers just keep incrementing as I click until eventually I will have done all 32 of the LEDs that Betaflight knows how to address. Now, if I want to, I can select one of those LEDs and I can clear it. And you'll notice that the numbers don't renumber themselves. And I wonder what number comes up. Is it going to be 18? It's going to be 14. Okay, so if I do clear some, it just keeps counting with the lowest number available. But the best way to do wire ordering is to lay them out 1, 2, 3, just to lay them out in order like that. And you can do like that if you prefer. Now, what wire ordering mode is doing is telling the flight controller about how many LEDs you've got and how they are laid out on the quadcopter. So for example, I could put a block of LEDs up here, which I would then have maybe on the front left arm, a block of LEDs up here on the front right arm, and so on and so on. And you can see here that I've run out of LEDs. Betaflight can only address up to 32 LEDs, but clearly I have more than 32 LEDs here. And the way to think about this is that some of these LEDs are going to share the same numerical identifier. So the way this particular setup is wired is that the top left LED for each of these banks is LED number 1, or Betaflight counts from 0. And as we go down, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That is a decision made by the creator of the LED panels, and it's generally not going to be something that you have control over. So in fact, we only have 12 LEDs here. And so if we were to do wire ordering mode, what we would do is we would just lay out 12 LEDs, and that would be the end of it. But we could easily imagine a scenario where we have a strip of LEDs and all of the LEDs are addressed as one. In other words, the whole bank turns the same color. And in that case, perhaps what we could do is we could have one on the front left arm, one on the front right arm, one on the back right arm, and one on the back left arm, and maybe another one on the underbelly of the quad. Perhaps I'd put that somewhere in the center of the grid. What I want you to take from this is that the number of LEDs here on the grid is related to the number of addressable LEDs that you have. And if you have a situation where all of these LEDs are addressed together, which again is a decision that the designer of the LEDSTRIP is going to make, then this is just one LED from Betaflight's perspective. The fact that 12 LEDs might light up when it actually addresses it, Betaflight isn't really aware of that. The other thing that you need to know when you're laying the LEDs out on the grid is that their position on the grid has almost no effect when you're programming them with Betaflight. The position on the grid is almost entirely for your convenience. So it's helpful for you to know, oh, this is the front right arm LEDs, sure. So we put it on the front right. But in fact, in almost every case, it doesn't matter how the LEDs work, where you put them on the grid. There is an exception to that, and I will tell you about it later. So I'm going to clear this wiring, and I'm just going to make a bank of, I'm just going to make a bank of 12 LEDs because that's how these are laid out, and that's going to help us as we go forward. So then I'm going to exit wire ordering mode, and I'm going to assign these LEDs a function. And before I can demonstrate that, I'm going to need to plug in a battery because these LEDs are only going to power up from a battery. In order to assign the LEDs a function, I'm going to highlight one or more of them. Like, let's just do this, for example. And I'm going to go to function, and I'm going to choose a function for these LEDs. And the simplest function you can pick is color, and then you can pick a single color to assign to the LEDs. And there's some color pickers here. We can just pick one of these colors by clicking on it. You can see those LEDs have been assigned to that color. And if I hit save, they will light up with that color. So you can see here I have made a mistake in the way that I've numbered them. I have selected LEDs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you can see that that wiring order is actually not as laid out here. An easy way to fix that is we'll just do clear all wiring, and we'll clear all functions here and hit save. We'll just reset. And what you can do is you can click one time. You go to wiring order mode, click one time, and then say function color, and save and look at which LED lights up. I can see, okay, it is the front top left LED. And then I can add another LED and give it function color and see which LED lights up. Okay, I'm doing good. So I can guess that we've got 2, 3, 4, 5 down the left side here. Color and save. And sure enough, yes, we've lit up down the left side. The color is different on some of these. And so then I guess the correct is to have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 down the right side here. So it was numbered 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the actual correct way to have it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down the columns. And let's just hit save there. And yes, now it seems to actually be correct. Color red on the left and color green on the right. You don't like red, do you? Why don't you like red? You like blue? Oh, you're okay with blue. What are we doing? What are you doing here? Are you okay with that? What do you got against red? Red. Can you do one red? No. What do you got against red? Wow. Oh, you're okay with magenta. I don't really understand what's happening here. Okay, so we have our order correct now. That's good. Now, assigning a fixed color to the LEDs is cool, but there's a little bit more we can do here. One of the things we can do is we can assign a color modifier. And the simplest way to modify the color is by one of our stick inputs or by one of our aux channels. So I'm going to need to get my controller. The way the color modifier works is that as the assigned channel goes from all the way down to all the way up, the color of the LED slides between three values, with one value all the way down, one value in the middle, and one value all the way up. If I highlight these LEDs and I assign them to position number 1 in the color picker and save, what Betaflight's going to do is it's going to look one slot to the left and one slot to the right of the color that I selected. And the slot that's to the left is going to be when the throttle is all the way down. As I raise to mid throttle, we're going to come to the slot in the middle. And as I come all the way up, we're going to go to the slot to the right. So you can actually choose the sort of range of colors that you go between as you go from all the way down to all the way up. And it's the position in the color picker that determines that. You can change the color in the color picker by double-clicking, and you can choose the HSV value, hue, saturation, and value that you want for each of them. I have to tell you, I don't completely understand how it picks the intermediate colors between these. So if we were to pick, let's say 11, which should mean that we're going to go from 10 to 11 to 12 as we move the throttle. So we've got kind of a blue when it's all the way down. And as we come to the middle, we've got kind of this dark violet. And as we go all the way up, we've got this bright magenta. So it kind of works, But the exact process, if you said, I want to go from red to green, I'm not actually sure like how exactly that would work. What would it do in between red and green? But anyway, you pick 3 colors, one for the low, the middle, and the high. And as the channel moves between those values, then the LEDs change to those colors. Now, the color modifier can be one of your main control channels, of course, or it could also be an aux channel. And as you've seen me done in one of my other tutorials, you can just assign a slider or knob to that aux channel, and you can dial one or more individual colors in. Now, the other thing you can do is you can enable the blink modifier. And if we save, then the LEDs will save. Should you be blinking? Oh, exciting. It looks like they blink when they... No, they blink all the time. Wow. Prepare to have epileptic seizures. They just blink all the time. Another option is to do what they call a Larson scanner. That's best just demonstrated. You pick color and it sort of walks back and forth between the end of the row. Probably the smartest way to do this would be to highlight just 1 through 5 and enable Larson Scanner. Actually, let's disable that for all of them. Disable Larson Scanner and save. And then highlight 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, enable Larson Scanner and save. And it's just going to bounce back and forth like that. Now, there's also the option to have an overlay function on each of the LEDs. So let me just take these bottom 6 LEDs and I'm going to overlay warnings and hit save. And those LEDs are going to light up or blink to indicate, apparently I've got the numbering wrong once again. Those LEDs are going to blink when there is some warning condition enabled. To see the warning conditions, we can go to the Setup tab and we can see there is an arming disable flag because we're plugged into USB. The most helpful place to get warnings is in your on-screen display because it'll actually give you the text of the warning and you can troubleshoot what it is. But the LED strip, if you enable the warning overlay, then that is going to light up an LED whenever you've got some kind of something preventing you from arming. Next, we've got the indicator, and this is the one time when the position of the LED in the actual grid is going to matter. The indicator indicates which direction you are pushing the sticks. Now, this is going to be a little hard to demonstrate because all of these LEDs are located. They're not individually addressable. We don't have like one LED on the front arm, one LED on the right arm, and so on. Actually, you know what would be super helpful? Let me unplug this battery. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the LEDs on the flight controller. I'm going to give this one a color of, how about that, and save. So I can see that that is the back right flight controller LED. So let me just clear all wiring, and we will make 0 be the back right. I'm going to guess that 1 is the front right. So again, let me select it. I'll choose color and we'll pick a color. And so now we have all 4 of the LEDs lit up and they are in the correct position on the grid relative to their position on the flight controller. If I then highlight them and choose indicator, nothing will happen. But if I push pitch forward on my stick, you can see that that front left LED has begun to blink. And if I pitch back, the back right LED has begun to blink. And if I pitch to the right, oh, both of the right side ones begin to blink. And on the left, both of the left side. Why did both of the front ones not blink for? Oh, they are blinking. It was just hard to see. So what we've got here is the quad will blink in the direction that you're pushing the stick. And that's useful mostly if you're flying line of sight. That's what the indicator is for. But kind of use like a turn signal maybe. You can cause it to blink to the left or blink to the right, and depending on which way you're turning. Yeah, that's what indicator's for. Lastly, we've got VTX, which causes them to change a specific color based on your VTX frequency. And here on the Betaflight GitHub page, we can see which index number in the color picker is assigned to which frequency that your VTX is on. So if you wanted to assign a specific color to a specific channel, what you would do is you would look up the frequency, the megahertz of that channel. You would find that particular index number in the color picker, and you would change that color that index number to be the color that you wanted mapped to that channel. Now, we saw that the indicator setting will blink the LEDs when you push the stick a certain direction, making them kind of act like a turn signal. That's what the indicator overlay does with a fixed color LED. There's another function called modes and orientation. And the way this works, first of all, let's just assign each of these LEDs to the modes and orientation function and hit save. And what we're going to do is for each of these LEDs, we are going to assign them an orientation based on their position on the craft. Now, I told you before that with indicator, the position of the LED on the matrix is what determines which direction it's assumed to be on the quad. But when we're doing modes and orientation, we're going to assign that. So for example, you can see I've assigned this top left LED to be north and west. Since it's on the diagonal, you can give it multiple directions. In fact, you could theoretically give one LED all directions, but that would kind of be dumb. It would just be lit up all the time. It wouldn't mean anything. The directions can be north, that's the front of the quad, west, that's the left of the quad, south, the back, east, the right side, or up or down. And again, we can combine those if we've got an LED that is kind of like on the top front right of the quad or something like that. Once you've assigned them, they will light up based on their position on the craft. So we've got these colors that are assigned to the cardinal directions, and where the LED is assigned to be will determine its color. The default colors are what they are. Maybe you'd like to change them to something that's a little more sort of sensical to you, like you may be used to, I don't know how full-scale aircraft do it, like green on the left and red on the right, or maybe it's the other way around, I don't know, white on the front. Anyway, you can change these colors just by you can do any of the color pickers here, and you can choose a different color if you prefer. Now, the colors are going to change based on the flight mode that you're in. So if I'm in head-free mode, I've got different colors. If I'm in horizon mode, I've got different colors, and so on. And I guess that could be used to indicate what mode you're in, as well as what direction the quad is facing. The thing is, this is pointless if you're flying FPV, because you are just looking out of the camera. The only purpose for this function is if you're looking at the quad from the outside and you want someone to be able to like if you're flying line of sight, or if you're focused on spectators and you want someone to easily be able to identify which direction the quad is facing as it's flying. Also, bear in mind, you could just put an LED on the grid and give it a color based on where it is on the quad. You just manually assign colors. The whole purpose of the orientation is that the colors are going to be dependent on your flight mode. But man, like, I don't know, I'm not going to remember that this color bank is when I'm in angle mode, and this color bank is when I'm in horizon mode, and I don't know. Seems kind of silly. Maybe it's useful if you fly line of sight. Next, we've got arm state. So if we select all these LEDs and choose arm state, the LEDs will turn green when the quad is disarmed, and, well, I can't, hang on. I have to be able to arm it. So they'll turn green when you're disarmed and blue when you're armed. I would think it'd be red, but okay. Oh, I can change that. Fantastic. Yeah, we're gonna change that. I'll just change that here, and we will choose. Can I just pick a different color? Red. Yes. Red when armed. Still blue, huh? We hit save. There we go. Red when armed, green when disarmed. Beautiful. The battery function will change the LED's color from green to red as the battery discharges. So right now it's red because I don't even have a battery plugged in. If I plug a battery in, it should, there we go. So now it's going orange because I've got a somewhat discharged battery. And if I keep If I was fully charged, it would be green. Bear in mind that it uses the power and battery tab. It uses the maximum cell voltage and the minimum cell voltage as the thresholds for fully charged and fully discharged. So depending on exactly how you've set this, you may, if you've set this to like 4.4 volts or something, you may never get a fully charged green indicator. That's not necessarily a problem. The RSSI function will cause the LEDs to change color as your signal strength goes down. You should really be monitoring RSSI in your on-screen display. But again, if you're flying line of sight, this could be helpful. If you're flying line of sight, you're probably not far enough away that you're going to fail safe anyway. But the GPS function will change the color of the LEDs based on whether you have a GPS lock or not. And the ring function, I don't know what the ring function does. I had to look it up. The ring function allows you to use LED rings for an afterburner effect. LEDs with this mode will light up with their assigned color in a repeating sequence, I guess when you throttle up. There's one more thing I need to tell you about the LEDSTRIP tab, and it's actually in the command line interface, not the tab. It turns out that Betaflight can have different LEDSTRIP profiles. The LEDSTRIP status profile is the default, and it's all the things that I've explained to you. However, you can change LEDSTRIP, or you can change the flight controller to be in race profile, in which case all LEDs have the same color, and that color is set using the CLI. Or you can change it to beacon profile, which flashes all the LEDs. And this is not that useful unless you could easily change profiles using some external control. So the idea that they have is that you can use in-flight adjustments to change between different profiles. And that is the LEDSTRIP tab, and we have come one step closer to completing our mission of covering every single thing in Betaflight Configurator. If you have enjoyed this and would like more of this, there's a link to this playlist down in the video description, and you're welcome to check out all the other tabs. But that's going to do it for this one. Happy flying.